joining us. I'd like to start by noting, as we all know, that today marks the 18th anniversary of the horrific 9/11 attacks. I can't believe it's been 18 years. I would ask you to please join me in a moment of silence for all the victims of the 9/11 tragedy, including those who lost their lives on the day of the tragedy, and so many more who have suffered and passed away due to health complications associated with the heroic response by so many to the tragedy. We remember all the victims, their families, and others close to them. A moment of silence, please. Thank you. Okay, is Andres here by chance? There he is. I love it. I love it. Today we are delighted, we're delighted to welcome Andres Valencia. It's some of what I'm going to share. I shared this at the board meeting. If you were there, I apologize for that. But there will be other things that are new. But I do want to, as I did last night, introduce Andres. He's our new digital marketing manager who came on board after College Service Day introductions of new employees. And Andres brings superior skills in the areas of videography and the use of social media and marketing. His expertise and contributions will be important to our work in bringing increased visibility to the college, with a focus on sharing the stories and accomplishments of our students, faculty, staff, trustees, and all of our other community members. Welcome, Andres.
Thank you.
And we have someone here today who is here on her very first day of employment. We welcome our new HR benefits manager, Carmen McGuire. What time did you get here today, Carmen?
9 a.m.
And she's still here, which is a good thing. We are so delighted to have you, and I'm going to ask Anna if she would to please introduce Carmen.
I'm going to stay here.
Okay.
So Carmen, Carmen comes to us from a number of years in HR oversight for Randstad, which is a global temp staffing agency. And prior to that, she had worked many years in social services, working with homeless veterans. She is a reservist herself, squad leader, and we want to talk more about that. But we're really thrilled to have her on board. And we hope to sort of see how we can make sure that everyone knows who she is. If they have benefits-related questions, but in the meantime, feel free to reach out to myself, and we'll get us connected.
She did say it all. Thank you. I'm very excited just to start this path, a new journey, a new chapter in my career right now, and this is definitely the way that I wanted to go. My long-term goal is to be in HR, and just to be around amazing women in my department is very, very exciting. So thank you.
This is exciting because we're adding to the HR staff something that's been long needed. I'm looking at Vivian and shaking her head. Yeah, but I really, Carmen's going to allow us to really get to the next level in terms of being able to really support our employees on a personal level with benefits-related concerns. So we really look forward to working with you. Andres, is there anything you'd like to say? I should have invited you to do that.
I'm happy to be here.
And are there any other new employees here who are new since College Service Day? Could you? Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
I don't have their bios memorized, but I have Nicola and Maria here. They're our new career advisors on the team. Do you want to just give us some background for yourselves? I try to make sure that whoever we bring in has very different backgrounds and experience and career trajectories to best support our students. Maybe just a quick.
Welcome.
I'm Nicola Clemens. I have a background in a lot of things professionally for my short so far career, most recently in marketing, and I've worked in publishing and the arts, and that has all through a circuitous route led me to career services, which is what I'm going to do here. I'm very excited to be here.
Wonderful to have you.
Hi, My name is Maria, and my background is in banking. Definitely switching to student affairs. I am getting my master, almost done, one more year. And I'm happy to be here and to be part of this community.
Fantastic. Where are you doing the master's?
I'm Montclair.
Excellent. Thank you. Welcome. Any others? Yes.
So we're just started on college service day, so I don't know if we could get in under.
Sure. If she wasn't introduced there.
She wasn't,
Yeah.
her name was Rev, but I don't think she was
Okay.
there, because she was
Sure.
HR then. So I'd like to introduce Marissa Reyes, our new business developer. We're thrilled to have her. She has a wealth of experience in workforce and in Jersey City.
Welcome.
Very excited to be here. As Lori said, I have about 25 years in workforce development, so I'm excited to be here, take this opportunity to see how we can take it to the next level.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Welcome. Great, thank you. Any others? Yeah.
I'd
Jack.
like to introduce Charles Giuliano, you first to call Chuck. He's our new safety and security coordinator. He comes to us with a wealth of experience in campus safety, security, OSHA, and life safety regulations.
Welcome. Anything you want to share with us?
I am very excited about this opportunity. I really am. And as I said to you, Mr. President, I'm so excited. I not only said excited, I said I love it, and I honestly do love it here.
Excellent. Thank you. Well, unfortunately, this person is not here because he has a good excuse to teach in a class. But I want to just take a moment to congratulate our colleague, Assistant Professor for English and ESL, Chandradot Prasad, who was honored recently by Mayor Stephen Fulop and by City Council President Yolanda Lavaro in the city of Jersey City for his contributions in building and I'm reading directly from what they said, his contributions in building a stronger social, economic, and diverse culture that brings pride to the community. And Professor Prasad was further recognized for his years of service in advocating immigrants' rights. And so we congratulate him and thank him for his inspirational leadership. Well, as you're all aware, the entire college community has been engaged in reviewing and discussing our shared values and commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, including discussions at a recent college service day and at the first meeting of the All College Council. And I'm pleased to share, as many of you know, the All College Council has strongly endorsed the new President's Advisory Council on Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion and has appointed ACC members Jose Lowe and Angela Pack to represent the ACC on the council, which we're very pleased about. And I'm pleased to also share that Board of Trustees Chair Bill Metchard has appointed Trustee Vice Chair Bakari Lee to represent the Board of Trustees on the council, and Presidents Warren Rigby and Christine Tirado, and Christine's here, yes, will be representing the Student Government Association and Phi Theta Kappa, respectively. And in addition, many members of the college community have expressed interest in serving on the council, and many have also nominated others to serve. And in collaboration with others in our community, I've invited an initial cohort of students, faculty, staff, and community members to join the council. This first cohort of membership is broadly representative of our college community. Now, we had a challenge. Oh, now we're off. Talk about challenges. Did I do something? There we go. Thank you so much. There were more people interested than can effectively serve, many more. And so we had to limit it to a certain size or it would be just too cumbersome. And it was really hard. And so if you were expressed an interest and were nominated, but you're not in this first cohort, it has absolutely nothing to do with our feelings about your ability to contribute. Much to the contrary. What we had to do at the end of the day is try to craft a group that was as broadly representative in all respect as possible. And we will now consciously then look for opportunities to bring others on board as members rotate off of the council or leave the council for other reasons. Most of the members are invited to serve 3-year terms. The All College Council and student representatives will serve 1-year renewable terms. So I'm pleased to show you the membership, and I want to thank most of these individuals for agreeing to serve. A few haven't yet responded. If you're seeing your name for the first time, I did send you a note. A few haven't responded, so this could change just a bit, but let's show them the membership. warm up. Yes. So, serving on the council will be Tony Acevedo, Eric Adamson, Archana Bandari, Dr. David Clark, Salvador Cuellar, Sharon Daughtry, Claudia Delgado, Dr. Friedman, Veronica Gerasimo, Roger Jones as a community representative. We work with Roger in the area of marketing and communications. Trustee Bakari Lee representing the board, Dr. Clyde Lee, Jose Lowe, who represents the ACC, Tori Marino, Director of Career Services, Patrick Embong, I won't read all the titles, Sylvia Mendoza, Elizabeth Nesius, Amala Auburn, Angela Pack, who will also represent the ACC, Hajal Parikh from the Educational Opportunity Fund, Jenny Pugh, Iris Pujols, Vivian Ray, and Alexa Riano. Warren Rigby, who will represent SGA. Okay. I actually have a list here. So, Vivian Ray, Alexa Riano, Warren Rigby, Michelle Richardson, who is a member of our HCC Foundation board and also a community representative. She's executive director of the Hudson County Economic Development Corporation. Jeff Roberson, Dr. Paula Roberson, Murda Sanchez, Hardik Sandravi, Christine Torrado, who's here, Michelle Vitale, and Elisa Williams, and Dr. Burl Yearwood. And I've asked Uris and Lisa to co-chair the group, working with everyone on the council, but to help, guide the group forward in meetings and prioritizing the work, and we stand ready to assist this organization in every way possible. As I mentioned in some other meetings, I don't plan to go to all the meetings because I really want it to be a group of folks who are free to fully discuss how we can as a college community move forward in supporting our collective values and aspirations, and then make recommendations to me and to our board. I've shared the document with you. It has been informed by much of your input. There are a lot of charges that we are going to suggest the council work on, but we don't expect them to achieve all of that in 1 year. So we expect that they'll start their work focusing on a few things, and then over time, this will be a living, breathing process, but we do want this to be a part of the college that provides leadership and support to the entire college community in our initiatives and our work in all areas associated with diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we will be asking this council to draft with college-wide input a strategic plan for diversity, equity, and inclusion that dovetails from our college-wide strategic plan, and also annual action plans that will provide the focused goals for that particular year. And it's going to be, as I said, a work in progress. We are going to be looking to have a college-wide conversation as all of this moves forward. So I want to thank all of those who have helped us get us to this point, to launch this, those who have agreed to serve, others who play such important roles in all of this work. So a round of applause for everybody. As we discussed at College Service Day and in other meetings, diversity, equity, and inclusion will be a college-wide focus for the coming year, in tandem with our student success initiatives and our work with Achieving the Dream, which was also very specifically focused on equity. And speaking of Achieving the Dream, I'd like to invite, we have Heather, Sheila's not here. So Heather DeVries, as you know, and Sheila Dinan co-chair what we call our Dream Team. And I'd like to invite Heather to, I think Sheila's involved in interviews right now, but Heather, I've asked Heather to provide an update of the work today, including comments about the recent visit to campus of our ATE coaches, Dr. Mary Fifield and Dr. Renee Garcia. Heather.
So first of all, thank you to everyone who was actively engaged and participated in Mary and Renee's visit a few weeks ago. A special shout out to Safety and Security for their heroic efforts to get Mary and Renee from the airports into Newark while the VMAs were going on. It was, yes, quite an email thread that day. And to ITS for all their support as well. Mary and Renee, I can say, had a wonderful visit, enjoyed meeting with everyone, and they're already looking forward to coming back in November. Their visit in November will center around a lot of the work we've been preparing to do by looking at our disaggregated data that's been separated out by, data related to enrollment, retention, persistence, completion, student engagement as well, around various different groups, like by looking at it by gender, looking at it by age range, looking at it by race, ethnicity, Pell, non-Pell recipient status, part-time, full-time, any way we can kind of slice and dice and combine to see where there are real kind of opportunity gaps that will inform our action plan, which we submit late next spring. This is really a data exploration year. And part of that data exploration is taking the Institutional Capacity Assessment Tool, or the ICAT. For those of you who heard Mary and Renee speak, they spoke at length about it. This is really, if you were interested in getting engaged and really playing a part, this is really how they hear the community's voice, how we hear the community's voice. And really, again, that too informs kind of our action plan that we'll submit at the end of the spring semester. Sheila and I have started talking about dates. We are looking at the very end of October. There's like last 2 weeks of October. We are in the process of reserving some computer labs, but we're really looking for all faculty and staff to take it in order to get the most complete picture of kind of where people feel we're at capacity, where we may need to have initiatives that build capacity. It is not a psychometric tool. It doesn't necessarily measure anything. It's more a conversation starter to kind of look at the community's perceptions and go from there. So please look for correspondence about that. And then most currently, we have 4 members of our dream team and Guided Pathways attending the Data and Analytics Summit in College Park, Maryland. Chris Wall is attending for Guided Pathways. And then John Scanlon, Tricia Clay, and Pam Bandiopatiae are attending for the dream team to learn more about disaggregating and, again, how to really dive into all this work with both feet. If you want to know more or want to know how you can be involved otherwise, you can send Sheila or myself an email. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Heather. Hugely cool. I had a wonderful meeting a day or two ago with Pam Bandiopatiae, who's not here, is she? I think she's in interviews, and Chris Wall and Eric, and we were talking about so many really best practice kinds of things that are happening here right now. ALP, the learning communities, our student success courses, the work that we're doing in terms of Hudson Helps, and Guided Pathways, and I could go on and on. We find ourselves at an interesting place where we're really doing, and another one I must add is the Educational Opportunity Fund, which now increasingly for me is the prototype that contains the ingredients that we know are central to student engagement, mentoring, coaching, and so we have lots of good things happening in disparate parts of the campus. At the same time, there are certain things that aren't working here that also aren't working anywhere, and I think we can just acknowledge some of them. One of them is the traditional model for developmental education frankly doesn't work. The model where it's national, it's not just at Hudson, the model where students are required to take prerequisite courses that don't count toward graduation before they are ready to enter college courses. You look at the data, and I think ATD will be helping us look at those data in a very granular way. But I can tell you the success rates, I'm not telling you anything I think anybody here doesn't already know. Success rates are very, very low. These are barriers that keep students from completing for all kinds of obvious reasons, but a major part of it is time. We're requiring them to take these courses, pay for these courses, use sometimes financial aid for these courses, and they don't even get started for a long time. It can also be really debilitating, and so there's this national discussion. That traditional model does not work. What can we replace it with? I heard a really dynamic lecture not long ago on the Student Success Working Group appointed by the State Secretary of Higher Education. Actually, Jose Lowe and Warren Rigby are also members of it. And we've been looking at best practices for student success at every institution in New Jersey, every post-secondary, private, public, 2-year, 4-year, graduate, large, small. And they brought in a speaker. She's a mathematician at the college, City University of New York. I can't remember which college. She's been doing research on this for years, and she has done pilots at CUNY of traditional versus pilot groups. She's done research. She's become a national really spokesperson and writer in this area. If we feel it would be helpful to bring her or someone like that here, I'd love to. But what she basically showed was, at CUNY, they learned the courses that use the parallel approach, where students who have a need for developmental education to reach the level of their peers are in a college course with their peers, not in a separate course that is a prerequisite. So, something like ALP, I think, right? And so they're in the course with their peers, but they're getting the support they need to address the issues within a college course. They're not losing time. That model is being proven empirically to work. Now, obviously, it's more detailed than that. I mean, the devil's in the details, right? But I'm thinking, okay, so we already have other models that we're working on, multiple measures as well, and placement programs are not working very well either nationally. One of the things that we talked about is, our work with Achieving the Dream is going to provide structure for us to really delve into the data, to really understand them. Not only how many students in developmental ed do or don't complete, but of those who do or don't complete, who are they? Disaggregating them by all kinds of different measures so that we can more fully understand what's happening. We may have a real opportunity to look at how we can scale up or integrate the things we're doing that are working, and maybe with a view to eventually replacing things that aren't. I'm not prejudging any of this other than some things are beginning to crystallize in the things that I hear and read. And what I think is so important is we're already doing so many really good things. I mean, and we've talked about this at the statewide level. Why don't we just scale up EOF for all of our students? Not that it would look the same for all students, but some of the components of it, some of the summer intensive work for those who want that, the mentoring and coaching and the field work and all of that all works. And it's probably those same ingredients will work for all of our students as we're talking about engagement and student success. So I'm kind of looking forward to the whole discussion and to in some ways seeing whether what we're already doing can, as we look at the data and see what they tell us, can be scaled. We may already have our solutions and need to scale them to the larger population. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, this was all something we just talked about at the VIP diner, and some lights went off. I should have asked Jose, you're doing really great work in chairing the subcommittee of ACC, and do you want to say a few words about the survey, because you're making real progress on that?
Yep. Once again, how everyone doing? My name is Jose. So I sent another email today in regards to the survey that we're going to conduct. I'm giving folks enough time to review the survey, not only the students, but also the staff and faculty who are part of our committee. Once again, they're looking at the survey, editing the questions, taking some questions out, putting some questions in. When we get all that information together, then we'll contact the company who's putting this together, and then have a final survey that we could just submit to everyone. But if you receive my email, please communicate that with me. I know some of you guys already submitted your edits. That's great, but I'm waiting for more folks to come in, because what I really don't want is folks saying to me, well, I don't like that question because or whatever. If you guys didn't give me any feedback, so we're gonna move on, and we need to move really quickly. Yep. So that's something that's gonna happen in the next couple of weeks.
And these are excellent instruments. They will really, I think, provide for us insight into lots of different areas of diversity. This was one of the companies recommended by the American Association of Community Colleges. It's an instrument that's been used elsewhere. So thank you very much. I think the results of that will also be really important information for the Advisory Council on Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion as they begin their work. So thank you, Jose. Well, over the summer, as you all know, all of us, our entire college community, has been engaged in the exceedingly important work associated with recruitment and retention of our students. And as you're aware, I shared this with the trustees last night. Enrollment in community colleges nationally is counter-cyclical or counterintuitive. When the economy is declining, as we all know, enrollment tends to increase. As people come back to retool, people are losing jobs and wanting to get ready for a different occupation. When the economy is strong, conversely, like now, enrollment tends to decrease as more people are employed full-time. And so most community colleges in New Jersey, as well as nationally, have been seeing overall a trend of declining enrollment as the economy has progressively strengthened since 2010. Most community colleges, many, nationally as well as here, had peak enrollments back in like 2009 when the economy was in severe recession. And ever since then, there's been a decline. Here at Hudson County Community College, we've been able to weather this trend, I think, relatively well, with annual enrollments since 2010 that have mostly included small manageable decreases, occasionally a growth blip as well. And so all through the summer and now continuing into the fall, we've been working to close what was for fall an early enrollment gap. We had a larger gap than we were comfortable with, and I'm happy to tell you through heroic efforts in so many places, that has now been reduced to about 2%. We're about 2% below last year, 2 to 2.5% in both head count and credit hours on the credit side. And I think that's going to continue to improve with growing enrollment in certain areas. For example, in the next few weeks, we expect to see increased enrollment in our quick term, late start, on the ground and online courses. But I was thinking about, one of the things that our Achieving the Dream coaches are really encouraging us to do, and that is go below. Don't stop with just the basic data. Drill into it to understand the details of those data. So we're down about 2% right now overall. We've made up a lot of ground. That's about the level of our decline last year. Those levels are manageable. Now we would like to, and as I'll be talking about, we would like to begin to do things that will lead to a sustainable, incremental upward trend of enrollment growth. But what's happening beneath the surface? And there's really, I think, a lot of good news that I think is very important as we think about the future going forward. How can we position ourselves to grow regardless of whether the economy is growing or declining by doing certain specific things? And so let me share with you a few things that we're observing right now for this fall that I think are worthy of celebration. And I'm going to start with EOF. So the enrollment of students in our Educational Opportunity Fund program right now is up 100% compared to last year. So I think we have roughly 200 EOF students this year compared to about 100 last year. Folks, that is phenomenal. That is phenomenal. And I know it's because of grit and perseverance and commitment and passion among our staff. I look at Jose, but I'm really looking at all of our EOF staff. So I want to congratulate and thank our EOF team. Similarly, our honors program enrollment is currently up 182%. I love it. When I say currently, it's probably already out of date, but as of a day or two ago, we had 141 students enrolled in this fall's honors program compared to 50 last year. Is Jenny here? No. Well, we want to congratulate and thank Jenny Bobea and all who've made this wonderful outcome possible. She too has been directly that increase isn't accidental. It's a function of the work that she and other faculty and staff leaders have done. So how about that outcome? That's really good. What's important about those two things, I think in particular, is that first of all, we're seeing new student enrollment in those areas up. It's not just more continuing students that are now in, for example, the honors programs. We are now, I may be for the first time, recruiting new students into the honors program. We have a bunch of new students in EOL. These are two programs that have a history of strong retention and student success outcomes. Students in those programs, their completion and success is significantly above that of the college community as a whole for reasons that we've already discussed. So these increases are important not only for this fall's enrollment, but they're important going forward because they are also going to, in all likelihood, lead to the work we're trying to do to achieve continuous improvement in the retention, success, and completion of our students. Another success story, our online student enrollment for this fall is up 8% over last year with a 9% increase in new student online enrollment. So this isn't just students moving from seats to the cloud who are already here. This is new students. As you know, we haven't historically really promoted fully online programs. We've had online courses, half or more of our courses are offered in that modality, but now we're beginning to focus on offering fully online programs. We've had two, we just added 3 more. As of a day ago, we had 62 students enrolled for this fall in fully online programs compared to 39 last fall. You're going to see that, you're going to see significant increases in that fully online program enrollment. It is not a panacea, it's not for everyone, online, on the ground, hybrid, they each have their strengths and weaknesses, but there are large communities of people who can only finish a program online, or at least that's their belief. So it is a way to be more inclusive and to serve more people. So I do want to, in this regard, thank Executive Director of Online Learning, Archana Bhandari, and her team, all of our academic leaders, many faculty and staff, for their contributions to these outcomes that I think portend continued growth going forward. So thank you all, everyone involved in online learning. Thank you. Our health sciences enrollment, as of a day or so ago, was up 5.42% over last year, but that's on top of a similar increase last year. And I think there's been an ongoing trend of those kinds of increases in spite of the economic realities that I shared with you, and in areas that are critical to our workforce. Nursing is the #1 area of occupational need nationwide. So I want to say kudos and thanks to Dean Catherine Angelo and all the faculty and staff in our School of Nursing and Health Sciences. But in addition to celebrating the sustained enrollment growth in the School of Nursing and Health Sciences, we celebrate the continuing excellence of the school's students, faculty, and staff. Even more important, we learned just yesterday, as an example, that students in our radiography program who recently took the American Registry of Radiologic Technologists test, or ARRT, had a perfect 100% pass rate. That's very noteworthy, folks. That means we're the best. You don't get better than 100%. Okay. So I want to congratulate Dean Sarangelo, Radiography Program Director Cheryl Cashel. Is she here? No? And all of the students, faculty, and staff who have contributed to this fabulous outcome. Our new Secaucus Center. We had a wonderful reception, kind of kicking off that center last week. The enrollment there is continuing to grow. As of yesterday, we had 51 students now enrolled in the evening credit courses and programs that we are just starting there this fall. So we are now offering courses in all of our majors, and actually 2 programs to start that are going to be fully offered there, credit programs, associate degree programs, to the college community, to the Secaucus community, the greater Secaucus community. They can attend these classes. They'll all be offered in the evenings, free and ample parking. We'll also have a student success coach there throughout the time of those course offerings. We have 51 students already enrolled, I think for the first time. That's strong. That's a critical mass. And then we have have 83 students and growing who are enrolled in the early college courses at the High Tech High School in Secaucus. These are students who can actually, those that are freshmen can complete our associate degree, I think, a few days before their high school diploma. So they can graduate high school with our associate degree if they choose to be all in. So collectively, the evening credit students and the rising number of high school high-tech students who are enrolled in our courses, that's 134 students at that location compared to 54 last year when the school just opened. Phenomenal. I think that is an initial outcome that says to us this is a viable part of our strategy to grow our enrollment. This is a community that has been underrepresented on this campus and in Union City for reasons we know. I think parking is one of them, and their proximity to other out-of-county colleges. We now have a viable place where we can offer, in the most state-of-the-art facility you can imagine. It's a 160 million, almost 400 square foot facility, and we're going to be able to offer courses. We have staff there. Chris Conson and his team are there working with students. I think we have every reason to believe that over time, this is going to become a very vibrant part of our college community. And as enrollment and interest grows there through those initial pioneers who will talk about their experience with others, I think we're going to be adding more full program offerings there, which means if you really want to complete a degree and know you can't do it here for whatever reason, you'll be able to do it there. And it can become a location that we actually refer students to who have parking requirements, because there's plenty of parking there. So I think it's incredibly important and exciting beginning to a whole new opportunity for our students. And I might also mention that our evening courses at Secaucus don't begin for another 2 weeks. So we expect those numbers to continue to grow. He's there working and talking to prospective students, but I want to thank Secaucus Center Executive Director Dr. Chris Conson and his team, and Assistant Dean of Academic Affairs Chris Wall, and his colleagues, among others, for this promising start at our new Secaucus location. And enrollment in new programs is up significantly over last year. You know, this is another important part of our strategy for growth. New program development that meets unmet needs, not that duplicates what others are doing and creates unnecessary competition. Doing things that aren't being offered, things that will add value to the community, and growing our enrollment as a result. So last year, I think we debuted a number of new programs: medical science, pre-professional, exercise science, homeland security, addiction counseling, and cybersecurity. This fall, total headcount in these new programs as of a day ago was 322, compared to 135 last fall when it started. That's a 139% increase in new programs. So I want to thank Heather DeVries and all the faculty and staff who developed and nurtured these growing programs. Round of applause. And our Community College Opportunity Grant, or CCOG, enrollment is up significantly this fall over last spring's initial CCOG enrollment when the pilot project started. We were one of the pilot colleges. To date, nearly 1,000 Hudson County Community College students are CCOG recipients, and of these, nearly 200 are new to Hudson County Community College this fall. And collectively, as of a day ago, they are receiving over $1.4 million in CCOG grant funds. These are funds we didn't have before January of this year. This is a near doubling of total dollars awarded just last spring. And we have, I think, every reason to expect continued growth in spring 2020 CCOG enrollment, because now, finally, we're in a position where we're not racing against the clock because we have very little time. We are increasingly able to bring information about this opportunity to all parts of our community. I want to thank Associate Dean of Financial Aid, Sylvia Mendoza. She's not here. She is here. There she is. Oh, sorry. I was thinking we were another people. Sylvia Mendoza, her team, and others, enrollment services and beyond. Thank you so much. And of course, we've already discussed that on the retention side, we've begun our work with Achieving the Dream, including a focused review and disaggregation of data to develop challenging but achievable goals for continuous improvement. So what I think I would like you to take away from this is I think what we're seeing here, I know it, is we're experiencing success in realizing growth in most of the areas that are priorities in our enrollment management plan. This plan was developed and supported by our Enrollment Management Council, new program development, Secaucus, online, etc. I want to thank Lisa Dockery and Matt Fessler for their leadership of the EMC. For anyone who's on the Enrollment Management Council, will you please stand for us today? I think many of them are elsewhere. Thank you guys. Outstanding work. Ladies and gentlemen, these kinds of outcomes are the result of the efforts of our entire college community. I always struggle with doing shout-outs because I inevitably miss a lot of other people, but I want to thank everyone for their contributions. This takes a village. These are the results of everybody's efforts. Okay, moving into another important topic. Last week, the Vice President of Human Resources, Anna Kropitsky, shared a college-wide update on our planning for developing an employee classification system for the college over the next several years. And I just want to reiterate that shortly we will begin a search for a qualified, knowledgeable consultant who will work with and assist the college in this critical initiative. The work will include a college-wide review of position descriptions and that will involve employees and their supervisors. So we will all be updating our position descriptions so that we can ensure that our jobs are properly titled based on the scope of the position, span of control, education, experience level, etc. Where appropriate, position descriptions will be updated to ensure they accurately reflect current responsibilities. Then we're going to create a classification system of positions by level and scope of responsibilities with established salary ranges that to the fullest extent possible reflect market rates of comparable positions in peer institutions. We're going to be inviting consultant candidates to present their proposals for this work to the whole college community, maybe in this town hall format. We want to specifically make sure we include the leadership teams of the Old College Council and our professional associations. We will have them do the presentations as we have been doing for some of our positions, and then we will ask everyone for feedback, and we will review all of the feedback from the college community to inform the selection of the consultant that will be working with us over, I think, several years. Then by next January, the Office of Human Resources will begin to work with the consultant to commence the project, which will be conducted collaboratively and transparently. And farther down the road, when the classification system's been developed, we'll analyze all salaries to determine where there are internal salary inequities, and we will plan to correct these concerns through our budget planning and our collective bargaining processes going forward, as we promised we would do in this last round of negotiations. I want to emphasize this is going to be a comprehensive process that will likely span several years, but we are committed to it. I look forward to our work together to continue the process of improving our employee compensation and support systems to serve our college community well. And I'm going to end there, but I would welcome questions, comments, suggestions, and please, any other information you might want to share with our community today. I open it. I need to learn to plant someone to start.
Just the survey instrument is going out. It's two separate, correct? One for students and one for faculty and staff.
And then we're actually going to amend the faculty staff one slightly for trustees so they can. Matt.
Just really quick, I want to remind everyone we have our open house coming up for the fall. October 12th is our North Hudson campus, and November 9th is our Journal Square campus. We are changing it. We usually do 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. I got a lot of feedback from staff and faculty, and I even saw it myself. The last hour was very dead. It was very quiet. So we are going to do 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., and we are going to remove the presentation this time. We are trying something new. Like I said, I got a lot of feedback. The energy in the room when students were going around the fair was a lot. People said a lot of students were much more engaged, a lot more energy in the room, and maybe that's because they were sitting in a presentation for an hour before they went to the fair. So we're going to try something different this time. We're always welcome to feedback. We're going to kind of see how things go this time, but just want to make sure that's on everyone's radar. You will get an email from me soon if you're the lead of your department to see who from your staff will be coming. So that will probably go out next week, so if you can just update me who you plan to have there. Okay?
Excellent. Thank you. Anna.
so we have a couple of things coming up soon. You hopefully saw the email earlier this morning about our next coffee hour with HR. We'll focus on the tuition reimbursement process or tuition waivers for some. This is September 26th in the afternoon on this campus, September 27th in the morning on the North Hudson campus. It would be helpful if you can RSVP so that we know how many people to plan for. Another big event that Carmen will be helping me with is our benefits fair. There'll be a communication coming out, or save the date really, later today. It will be on October 8th. A Tuesday full day event. We are looking to invite as many vendors as we can that offer resources and benefits to all our employees. We are including our professional associations to talk about their member benefits. I would like to have, we'll work with some faculty perhaps to offer informational sessions so that we really want to get as much out of this day as possible in terms of the information, resources, and benefits that the college has to offer. So watch out for that communication. If you're interested in participating, please feel free to reach out. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Lisa.
So 2 things I would like to make you aware of. Number 1, on October the 2nd, it is a Wednesday, we will have our annual convocation. And you probably already saw save the date, so we just want to remind everyone of that, to put that on your calendar. We are scheduled to have a whole agenda of some exciting updates from the various division leaders, and we also have a guest outside speaker, and we will have breakfast and lunch and a couple of afternoon workshops. We'll try to get the full agenda out hopefully in the next week or so. So we definitely want you to please, I know the semester's already started and a lot of people do confuse why do we have to have convocation and college service day. But there are key notable differences between the two. So if anyone would like for me to share those later, you can just send me an email for that. But also, about a few months ago, organization, NISOD, our National Institute of Staff and Organizational Development, they did a major collaboration with AQ, the Association for College and University Educators. They partnered with NISOD and they reached out to colleges around the nation, and they chose 10 colleges to co-host a one-day credit-bearing seminar. Well, Hudson County Community College, with some of your input, we did propose to be the co-host, and we were the only college in New Jersey chosen. Yes. And our president was excited about it. Our provost, the executive vice president, Dr. Eric Friedman, they're all excited. But how many of you are a faculty member or a dean, and because it is a seminar that would get you some professional effective practices for your classroom. So how many of you are deans and or faculty members, if you're also excited, could you just raise your hand? Raise your hand. Great, great. So you're going to get an email communication about it a little later with details, but we want to try to get at least 40 people registered. And we can invite outside colleges from around the state. If we get 50 people in the room, the executive director, Dr. Edward Leach, out in Texas, will come to our event. So we, again, are just following suit with everyone else by putting Hudson County Community College on the national map for faculty and staff professional development. So thank you to all of you, and thank you, Dr. Reber, for supporting this.
Hi, so on behalf of Phi Theta Kappa, we congratulate the increasing numbers, and we also hold Community College Completion Week during the week of October 21st to October 26th. So we would like to ask for some participation from faculty and staff to assist us at the tables. This way students can have an idea how important completion actually is.
And Christine, are you comfortable speaking about your service project?
Okay.
The Phi Theta Kappa service project?
So some of my other officers aren't here to speak on their portion, but we're actually conducting a service project to give back to the HCCC community, and we are going to create Hudson County Community College's first prototype greenhouse. Hopefully, so don't hold me on this, okay? We are looking to grow hydroponic scallions and mushroom lawns and hopefully create a way to redistribute it into the college community to assist with food insecurity.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
I just have one more note to add to the credit building seminar. It is November 2nd, it's a Saturday, it's one day, November 2nd, November 2nd, it's a Saturday, all day. And we need to get people registered by October the 4th to get a discount. Thank you.
Others? Questions, comments, information?
Okay, just an informational, I always said something new. No, it's not a pop-up. There's a training, if you're interested, tomorrow night. This is in reference to our immigrant student population. Many of the students are afraid, their families are in fear. I've worked with the immigrant community in New Jersey for years and years. So tomorrow night at New Brunswick Theological Seminary, it's in New Brunswick from 6 to 8, there will be a Know Your Rights training for allies of immigrants. So it's done by Dyer, I forget the acronym, but it's out of the Reformed Church in Highland Park, and the minister there, Seth Caperdale, was actually the Green candidate for governor here in New Jersey. So he knows Phil Murphy very well, and there's a really good group of people in Alejandra who is their outreach coordinator, is doing the Know Your Rights seminar. So I'll bring back information for us to add to Dave Clark's Hudson Helps page, and so we'll have more. We also have the Steering Committee at All College Council. I did download Know Your Rights cards from, I forget which site, that the previous president had gathered for the DACA students. So Know Your Rights cards in a variety of languages. So we'll have links to all that. So we'll package that together.
Okay.
You know, last evening, David, David and Clark and Lisa Doherty did a little sort of update for the board on Hudson Helps, and I didn't ask them to do it here, but would either of you like to just do an impromptu update?
I believe we are on the agenda at convocation,
Okay.
right? So we will. But David has just, David has provided tremendous leadership in terms of getting the portal up and running with lots of different resources and services. And then as soon as the Student Center opens, we will open a physical space on the 3rd floor of Building A, which will be the Hudson Helps Resource Center, where students can go for assistance. There'll be a career closet, and we're hoping to have agency representatives there to meet with students. And so please visit the portal. It's under support services, I believe.
Yes.
If you drill in, and we can also send around the link, and there are brochures floating around. We're still finalizing the logo, we can't decide, but we will get more information out as it is available, and there'll be lots of opportunities to donate to the food pantry upcoming, and partnering with Flick and the Culinary Conference Center and PTK, of course, so lots of exciting things. Anything to add, David?
No, that's it.
Thank you.
More to come at convocation, I should say wet your whistle.
Oh, good.
I'm using the Open Educational Resources for CSS. It's my first semester teaching it, so I just wanted to let you know it's going really, really well. There are 4 assessments that the students take in their second week, and in the beginning of the class, about half of the students weren't sure what their majors were going to be or what they were going to do in life. And as a result of taking those resources, I had about half of that half who had realized what major they're going to get, and they're talking about what college they're going through. And one interesting thing we did the first week was to do a CSS bingo, and it's like regular bingo. But one of the questions was, what's your favorite movie? And as we were discussing our favorite movie, I said mine was The Wizard of Oz, and one of the students said his was The Wiz. So for the students who were immigrants, they didn't know what either one of those things were. And I said one of them is with white people, and the other one was with black people. And I shared the story of there's a piece in The Wiz where Linda the Good Witch sings If You Believe. So we ended our class today by watching the video, If You Believe, and some of my students actually had tears in their eyes. Yeah. So the song is all about believing in yourself and knowing what your path is and staying on your path. So it was really kind of a nice moment today.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Fantastic. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
And I was asked that question when I interviewed here. Joe Gallo, I believe, if I remember correctly. That sounds fantastic. And I do want to do just a shout out also to Michael Welpley and Elizabeth Nesius and others. They're all interviewing candidates today for John Marlin's replacement. The work they're doing on open educational resources is significant and incredibly important. They did a presentation to our President's Executive Council recently. We have quite a few sections, thanks to a number of people here and throughout the college community, that are textbook free, and I'm learning more about the fact that this goes beyond OER. But I think they're doing exceedingly good work. Apropos of that, I had meetings with the president yesterday at the library, and one student shared with me the difficulty she's having. There's only one textbook that's critical to her class that is on reserve in the library, and you can never get it because someone else always has it, and she can't afford to buy it. I need to look into that. I can't even remember. I don't know what course it's in, but
I think I had to walk one of my students who had a similar issue to that on Tuesday morning. I teach CSS at 8 a.m. and it was a developmental math, and it was on high demand. The issue is that they have to scan the pages, and that takes a long time, as opposed to if there was a copier that they had access to, it could possibly make it a little faster. I even offered to take the book to my office, and I couldn't take it out of it.
this is something we have to, so this is an example of why we need to move in this direction to begin with. But if a student doesn't have access to the book, they're not going to complete the course. I mean, it's just it's a no-brainer, and it's also, there's plenty of data to suggest that. And so this work we're doing, to the extent that we can, can go textbook free in more and more courses without compromising the course, is really going to be significant in our retention work. So I salute them. They're doing a great job along with lots of others.
Can I add something to that?
Yes.
So if you come across a student who's having financial difficulty affording books, we have in Student Affairs, separate from the book voucher that's through financial aid, we have book scholarships that are need and merit based. So please direct them to Liz Betty Furr or myself, because as part of our CCOG grant from the summer, we purchased $7,500 worth of gift cards and things to help students, so not just bookstore, but also basic needs, which leads me to my next reminder, back to Hudson Helps, is emergency aid. We're piloting an emergency aid program for students who experience significant, sudden, one-time financial setbacks, whether it's an eviction or a power shutoff or a transportation issue. So something like that, if you run into a student who can't afford a book, please send them my way so I can see if I can help them. And we'll have we'll have an emergency aid application up on the portal shortly. I'm working with Omar on finalizing that, but we certainly, we purchased these for the reason of helping students with things like that. So send them my way.
Lisa, are you able to share an example? Share the story of the electric.
Yeah. So we had a student who over Labor Day weekend reached out. I think she had heard it at somewhere where I was kind of speaking about it. Her electricity was shut off for her family. So we had her, we don't have an application yet. So I said, shoot me a quick email, just tell me the story and provide me with some documentation. So we were able to help her with that so that her power was turned back on. Another student, his car broke down, so it was really inhibiting his ability to get to and from school, and he works here. So we were able to help him with that. And then another student had a notice of a power shutoff imminent, someone with a family and children, so we were able to help her. So they were extremely grateful and appreciative and somewhat shocked, so I think that students are really not used to that type of outreach and help, and the college really supporting them in that way. So it's very sad in one way, but it's very gratifying that we're able to do that for them, and they're really, really appreciative. So
when Lisa helps, when she and her team help students in this kind of situation, they pay the cost directly to the vendor. They're not giving the student the money to pay for it and tempt them to do something else. But this is phenomenal, so thank you.
that's a great point.
You know, how many of you have had a chance so far to play the Achieving the Dream board game? Some of you have. And I'm hoping over time we can make that available so that everybody gets the opportunity. In fact, one of the trustees called me this morning. They want to play the game, which I think is great. But you know, what it illustrates for me, I think it just brings front and center to our awareness. This work of student success is really all about removing barriers. It's all about removing barriers. And you shared some statistics last night that I hadn't necessarily seen. I think I probably had, but it had been a while. So nationally, the Government Accountability Office, in a report they released, I think in January, they're estimating over 40% of all community college students nationwide are both or either food insecure or housing insecure. Almost half are in those categories. And 12% nationwide are homeless, attending community colleges. Those are barriers, and it has to be our business to help address them. And these are the kinds of efforts that are going to do that. So the game helps, I think, you internalize that. Okay, what else? Okay.
I have
You're doing
one
really well.
more thing. I was so delighted one day I came to work and I saw these beautiful banners going up. Noticed it in front of my building, so I thought it was one. Then I looked and I looked and I looked back down, and as far as I could see on both sides of the streets. So I just wanted to say kudos to the facilities, and I know people like Heather and Ilya and probably others back when I was a chairperson for College Life, and we would be at the committee meetings. We would talk about, they would bring up what they were working on, and at the time it seemed like it was a hard job. They kept saying, oh, we wanted to have that look and feel of being at NYU. We need the presence of the college. We wanted to be known, and so just kudos to you. And it just proves that anyone can overcome barriers. Students can overcome barriers, but employees can also overcome barriers as well. So kudos.
Yes, absolutely. I think you know this, but all the services, Hudson Helps, the pantries, they're open to employees as well. And yeah, that banner program is phenomenal. Now, one of the things we realized, I wanted to say, is we have to expand the number of academic banners. But this first effort, this is a wonderful example of the power of partnerships. So Eric has a really good relationship with Chris Bernardo at the Journal Square Community Association. And they work together, capitalizing on the ideas that has come from the College Council on doing this, because Chris Bernardo and his group they want to use banners to create presence and pride throughout Journal Square. So we have this mutual interest. There are 100 of those banners that are hanging on a variety of streets, including SIP, JFK, and Bergen. It cost us $7,000. So our investment was $7,000. They more than matched that, and they hung them all for us. The foundation raised the money for it, so it's all good. That has inspired us to work with our Capital Projects Committee. We're going to be doing a request for proposal to have a professional help us develop a whole new comprehensive wayfinding and signage program for the entire college, so that we begin to have a more consistent and visible
acknowledgement of our facilities, but also directional signage throughout the urban landscape. Help people find Hudson County. And it'll be designed also with a view to our future master plan. So it'll be designed so that it can complement then the academic tower and the next things we're going to be doing. Okay, any other? We probably need to wrap up. Is there one or two more? Yes, yes.
Can we have banners in New York City?
No, good question. Good for you. No, but we need to. We absolutely.
Nancy calls.
And Nancy calls. Yeah. Ilya, can you give us, welcome back by the way, you just got back from somewhere cool.
Yes.
Where were you going?
Oh.
He was all over the world.
Yeah, I have some updates.
Okay.
Without the microphone. So update on the North Hudson roof, which we have a schedule right now confirmed. The roof is supposed to be completed by September 23rd, and we already started thinking about the schedule of moving faculty from the multi-purpose room where they're located right now back to the 7th floor. So we are very excited because this project was delayed for several weeks, and now we are trying to, make the schedule for us. And in regards to the 81C, we also have a good news. The project is going very well. We're making time, and the project is supposed to be completed by the end of December. I would say by the middle of December, close to the December 12th.
Fantastic. Thank you. Okay, everybody. Well, thank you so much. And we're off to a really great start. Thank you all for your contributions. And have a great rest of the day.